Hey there, my name's Najad. I make videos for international students and world travelers. Whether you're planning to come to Canada or visit another country, I'm your guy. Smash that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to get all my updates and some of the best tips for moving in Canada and around the world. On this channel, you're gonna find tips about passive income, getting settled, finding a traditional job, anything to really get settled and start building an income. Start really ladder climbing wherever you are. This is a channel for that. So let's get started. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to sponsor a relative to come to Canada. Now this is an important process. It can be a difficult one. It can be lengthy. After all, it's immigration. Nothing immigration is easy. But I'm going to help simplify the process and tell you face to face as a friend how you can do it. Before we get started, this video is sponsored by Skillshare. If you want to learn how I pick up all these new skills, how I travel the world, how I make an online income, and how I work with clients around the world, I keep brushing up on my skills using Skillshare. So what are the requirements to sponsor a relative to come to Canada? First of all, you need to be 18 years old. If you're younger than 18, you're going to have some troubles. You can't be a child and sponsor a relative. That's kind of common sense. Also, you need to be a Canadian citizen. Or according to the government website, you need to be registered as an Indian under the Indian Act. I can't believe they still call it that, but the website's updated, and if you are an Indigenous person to Canada, that is another way that you can sponsor somebody to become a resident. Also, you can be a permanent resident. Obviously, it's not as high of a status as a citizen, but you can still be a permanent resident and sponsor. Another rule is you must live in Canada if you want to sponsor a relative. Now, that is true unless you're a Canadian citizen that lives abroad. Number two, you plan to return to Canada when your relatives immigrate. Number three, if you're sponsoring your spouse, that means your wife or husband or someone you're married to, then that's a different story. Or if you're sponsoring your dependent children who have no dependent children. So if you have children that are dependent on you, you could sponsor them as well. If they have kids, we're assuming that they're old enough, they're coming with a package deal, you can't sponsor them. But if you just have kids that you want to bring here, that's fine. Now, what are the guidelines that you have to meet to sponsor a relative to come to Canada? Number one, you have to meet certain income guidelines, and this is going to vary year by year. It's going to vary depending on the province, where you live, where the person is going to stay after you sponsor them, but you need to meet certain income guidelines. Number two, you have to agree in writing that you are going to provide financial support if anything goes wrong. The last thing we want to do is sponsor people who are going to become a burden on our economy. I'm not saying that as in an anti-immigration voice. I'm just saying that as in a common sense voice. We want people to come here and live comfortable lives, and we also don't want to have to, hold them up all their weight. We can't do that. It's just impossible. So you're going to kind of be the collateral there. You're going to ensure that person's safe. The time you support that person doesn't mean you have to. It just means that if they can't support themselves, it's your responsibility. Is the day they arrive in Canada, you must start supporting them as collateral. And then for up to 20 years. So, oh my God, that's a very big commitment. So before you just invite your whole family, think about it. If you're sponsoring somebody, you are putting yourself in one way or another on the line. So you kind of want to sponsor the cream of the crop. You want to sponsor, maybe Aunt Jemima is excellent. You want to sponsor her because you know she's great. She's going to support her own weight. She's going to be great to the family. She's going to be a lot of fun. You might not want to sponsor Uncle Tom if Uncle Tom is going to come and drink beer all day. So just kind of think about who you're sponsoring and why you're doing it. Sponsor people you believe are eligible, and sponsor people who are going to actually add to your new life here in Canada. Here are some reasons why you may not be able to sponsor a relative in Canada. If you're in prison, you can't sponsor someone to come to Canada. I mean, you can't just be in jail and be like, hey, one day I want to bring Uncle Habib to Canada. It ain't gonna happen because you're in jail. The second thing is if you fail to pay back an immigration loan. If you got an immigration loan, you haven't paid that back, we're not going to start bringing more people. You have to kind of figure that out, and then you can bring more people. If you've declared bankruptcy and it is still affecting you, so if you haven't been released from that bankruptcy, you can bring people over. Generally, if you declare bankruptcy, your credit is pretty much shot. You don't really have you're not going to be financially trusted, so we're not going to trust you to bring people here. It's kind of unfortunate, and it's also a good thing actually. See it as a positive. Get your stuff together. Get your life together, okay? Once you do that, then you can start looking at bringing people here. You want to support yourself before you support other people.